Good morning, everyone. The topic of the video today is regarding something I saw on YouTube this morning. I sat down with my breakfast, my morning cup of coffee, and I usually scroll through YouTube, mostly the news in the morning before I start my day. And what I saw didn't actually shock me, but I feel like I need to speak out about it. When I was growing up, Gen X, 70s, 80s, we respected our elders. That meant our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, anybody older than us, even other people's family. If you went over to a friend's house, you respected their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and so forth. But somewhere along the way, we stopped respecting our elders, and I've even heard young people say they don't deserve respect. I don't know if it was a family member, a granddaughter, a child. I'm not sure because I didn't see the person filming. I only heard their voice, and they were talking about how grandma, who appeared to be very elderly and frail, refused to take a shower. Well, that's very, very common, and there are reasons for that. I'm not in the medical field, but this is based on my own personal experience taking care of elderly grandparents. My grandmother suffered from possibly Alzheimer's at the end of her life. I've always said it was dementia, but, it could have been a true diagnosis of Alzheimer's. I don't know. However, she could not stand water touching her skin. And there are many reasons why. It wasn't that she was an unclean person. It wasn't that she was a dirty person. At the end of her life, around 5 years before she passed away, she refused to get in the shower. She had to be bathed. The water touching her skin felt painful to her. And I think it's because as we age, our skin gets thinner. Also, soap started irritating her. Along with not bathing, other problems can develop. That's why people in nursing homes are bathed. They have caretakers or people that choose to stay in their home and not go into a nursing home if you have family that can help you. They also may have in-home care and they get bathed. And the reason for that is because if you don't shower, if you don't wash and clean your body, aside from common sense, odor, things like that, you can get things like yeast infection on your skin, especially in the folds of where your body folds, like in fat rolls, things like that. So it is imperative that people shower well into their senior years. However, for somebody elderly, it can be very painful, and it can also be traumatizing. Around Christmas 2025, somebody I know who was in their 90s came down with pneumonia, and it was very serious. They were hospitalized, and then they were transferred to a rehab center because they were no longer walking. And I read that can happen in elderly, especially older individuals. If they get pneumonia, it can affect their whole neurological system. And she was no longer walking. So they put her in the rehab center because she couldn't go home. She couldn't take care of herself. And while she was there, they were able to bathe her, and she was totally humiliated at first. But then after she had the shower, or however they do it, I don't know if they wheel you in a wheelchair, I don't know. But after that happened with her, she felt great. She felt super clean. She said it was gentle, it didn't hurt. But at home, once she got back home, she refused to shower once again. Thankfully, she wasn't permanently in a wheelchair. She could walk again, miraculously. She did not make a full recovery, but at least she was able to, move around with the assistance of a walker, and she had in-home help. And the in-home nurses that came in said part of their care was to see how well she could do in the shower by herself. They didn't want her to fall, basically. They were concerned. Her family was visiting one day when a nurse came in, and the nurse said, "I would like to see you go to your shower and try to get in so I can see how you maneuver and get over the lip of the shower to make sure you don't fall." She refused because of feeling anxious and humiliated, and she thought that the nurse wanted to see her undress and get in the shower and take a shower, and it was embarrassing for her. So she lashed out, and that is also common. She lashed out at the nurse. She called her names. She told her to get out, and she would not be taking a shower in front of her. Family and friends alike suggested, how about if she practices walking to the shower and showing family, people she loves, cares for, and trusts, that she can actually get in over the lip. However, make sure there's good, those sticky things you can put in the shower so she doesn't slip, the anti-slip things. Maybe get her a shower chair. A week went by and she finally agreed to get in the shower. And she was able to do it on her own. She didn't fall. She was able to sit in the chair on her own. Therefore, she did not have to undress in front of anybody. She wasn't embarrassed, and she did it at her leisure. She also has one of those shower wands, which helps, because some people have said they feel that the hard water coming from a shower head is too hard on their sensitive skin. So she was able to do this on her own with the more gentle pull-down wand thing in her shower. And she also was able to fully bathe herself and clean herself. And then it was no longer scary. When she had done it, she was used to it, and then she started bathing regularly. The video I saw this morning, however, was a person filming a very frail elderly person to humiliate them to get into a shower. It was disgusting, okay? First of all, like I said, in my generation, we respected people older than us. I would have never, ever treated an elderly person that way. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the TV. Compassion needs to be first. Love, caring. But compassion needs to be at the root of it, because bullying an elderly person into showering isn't productive and it's not helpful. It can actually make them feel worse. The last thing you want to do with an elderly loved one is make them feel depressed. Because I can only imagine how that would feel to me. If somebody came at me like that and I was 90, I could only imagine the heartbreak, the hurt, the disappointment I would have in my loved ones. Got to think about water temperature too. To you and me, I'm in my 50s. I don't know your age. But think about it, right? You get in the shower, you adjust it. Right now, because I'm on this medication, I have to take lukewarm showers. I don't take a hot shower. Plus, it's summer. But sometimes, like in the winter, I don't want to take a lukewarm shower. I want to take a warmer shower. But imagine an elderly person that's in their 90s. They might not even realize what kind of water temperature they need. It may be too cold, maybe too hot. Also, elderly people are prone to pneumonia. You don't want to put somebody in a shower that's too cold and then they get chilled and get pneumonia. That's the last thing you'd want. So please practice kindness and compassion. The last thing you want to do to a loved one in their final days, weeks, months on earth is to humiliate them on a YouTube video, treat them like they're trash that you're dragging down the hole to put on the curb, and embarrass them thinking that's going to make them take a shower. Think about how they feel. What I'm seeing through the video is a terrible lack of empathy. Try putting yourself in the shoes of someone who's 90. Try putting yourself in the shoes of someone you're filming to make a video about how it's so ridiculous that they won't shower. Have some compassion. Have a heart. There are so many ways to accommodate people today, whether it's a transfer chair, if it's a tub. There's a chair that can go over the side of the tub. People can sit in it and then swing their legs around. Or it's replacing a shower head for a wand. There are products out there. There are companies that make these products. You unscrew the shower head from the arm in the wall, and then you screw on this handheld Moen. Moen is a popular company. It's a Moen Magnetics. And it's a magnetic thing that screws to your shower arm, replaces your shower head. And then the wand comes off of that magnet, and it's got like 5 or 6 settings, even a pause feature. Please, 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 don't shame your elderly relatives. Don't embarrass them. Don't try to humiliate them. Thank you so much for watching today. Take care.